Welcome back to Coaches on the Beach, and today we got a special one for y'all. May 23rd of 2023 is when Colin and I decided, hey, let's just go record ourselves talking about beach volleyball, and we'll put it out there for the world to listen to if they want to. And I remember Colin saying, even if it is just us talking and no one listening, at least it will still be fun to bounce ideas and talk shop with another coach. And now 2 years later, 88 episodes in, we've gotten to interview so many great people in our sport. We've got to interview some Olympians, some medalists at the Olympics, NCAA champions, some friends, some clubs, even men's volleyball coaches we've interviewed. And it's been truly, truly special in our journey, getting to grow our community. And I know one of the special things for me is getting to see not only the coaches that we get to interview, but Colin across the net when we're playing against each other and getting to compete at our hardest, putting our teams in the best possible situation we can. And then knowing at the end of that, we're still going to be friends, no matter how competitive we are. We'll see each other at camps and clinics throughout the summer. We'll get to call each other, text each other about different thoughts and ideas that we're having throughout the season or recruiting purposes. And it's really built a really close and fun community for us to be involved with. And couldn't ask anything better there. Also, to all of our listeners that want to sit down and spend about 30 minutes to an hour a day listening to just two guys talk or us interview your favorite coaches, and building a community that way. I know I've been approached a couple times by people who have listened and have enjoyed the show, so we really appreciate you guys listening. We're super grateful for that, and we enjoy making some content that shines a little light on our game of NCAA beach volleyball. It's been really, really fun just getting to sit down and talk and not necessarily having to have filters on or anything like that. But that gets us into our episode of today. It's a look back at all of the top-ranked episodes that we have according to Spotify. These are the most listened to episodes. We got our top 10 with a couple of honorable mentions in there. And we just appreciate it. And if you haven't heard any of these, I strongly recommend, if you can, go back on Spotify and listen to a couple of these. We just got little snippets of what our conversations were like in these episodes. So without further ado, let's get into it with number 10.
Yeah, I think from a young age, I always thought that I might coach. Before I got better at volleyball, I thought maybe I'd be a golf instructor. I figured the money was a little bit better. I was pretty good at golf. I was enjoying golf, and I thought, I could maybe teach people how to play golf. Then I coached a little bit after high school. I was really fortunate. I had a lot of people that, for whatever reason, allowed me to be in their gyms, on their courts, and just kind of let me be around things. I got to go to a number of state championships while I was playing in my late teens, early 20s. So I was able to be involved in what winning programs look like, what it takes, what it looks like from a leadership standpoint. So I think for me, those were really valuable years, even, when I was kind of working through things. And I continued coaching a little bit while I was playing professionally. I always coached indoor, and then my late wife, Capri, started, she was working with Beach Dig, which was kind of like the original beach club down here in Florida. It was started by Cindy Phillips. She started doing beach club before anybody was doing beach club. And it really blew up down here, and I think that was one of the major catalysts to kind of moving beach into college, and there was a demand for it, and so Capri started her own thing in 2011, and I was helping out, so I got to do the little kids. I wasn't allowed to do the older kids yet. And then, yeah, just kind of continued. And Capri got the coaching job at FAU the summer of 2014. And she did the first year with one of her good friends as the volunteer assistant. And then her friend's like, I really love doing this, but I can't do this for free. I've got to, I got to take care of my kids and make some money. So she said, Steve, I need some help. And I said, are you sure? And she was like, yes, you have to help me. And I said, okay. So I think secretly I'd always been very interested in getting into college coaching. It had always really fascinated me. Disappointed. I'm a big fan of problem solving. Like I really enjoy trying to find ways to, figure out different things and find solutions to different problems. And there's no end to the amount of problems that you face as a college coach. I think there's always something that can be done better. There's always hopefully a better way to do something or a better way to communicate or work with administration, raise money, teach a kid how to hit a different type of serve. Right. I think the problems are endless, and I really enjoy that piece about my job. I don't have too many days that are the same over and over again.
But one of the things I've been finding interesting going from helping athletes be recruited to recruiting is like watching all the videos that I receive. And like I helped my kids, they would put the video together and they would a lot of times I would say, hey, like I can watch it before you send it, whatever. And I would think, okay, this looks pretty good. Okay, like we can send this out. And then I'm watching video and it just looks so different than in person. Like, because the athlete, the type of worker they are. Like when you're with them all the time as a high school athlete, like you understand the type of player they are. But like when you just see like the pass set hit, you don't see anything else. Like you can see them bounce a ball on the 10-foot line. You're like, oh, that looks pretty good. But you don't know anything else about them other than what they tell you. So, I mean, that's one of the big things that John always talks about. We're always talking about as a staff is like, we want them to get them in camps, or I want to see them at college recruiting showcases, because you want to see the type of kid they are in between the rallies, as well as, when they come up to you and talk to you, or how they are off the sand, how they treat, like we talk about all the time, when you see them at a tournament, how are they treating their parents on the sideline? We want to build those relationships and get athletes who are good humans, not just great volleyball players.
Well, Jeff, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I got to ask, right, because you've been at the forefront of beach volleyball. I mean, 2019, I talked Kaylee and Steino into letting me drive you back to Stein's little house there on Spreckles.
That's right.
And I asked you, what are the things you think? And one of the first things you said was, we got to get these teams, these college girls to hit more. Got to get up there and swing, put the ball down. And I mean, if you haven't watched beach volleyball, that's the number one change in college over the last 5 years has been the physicality of the game, the speed of the game. You're clearly at the forefront of setting and dynamic offenses. So, Jeff, Nostradamus, tell us what's next. What's coming up?
Oh, man. Size and even more power. For the women, like I think even bigger, taller, stronger athletes are going to continue to come out. I think, more schools are going to offer bigger programs and really draw the larger athletes that are still playing indoor now and sticking with it will probably still come out. I think you're going to see a lot of spike serving from the baseline. It just has to. As the offensive got so much better, there's almost no way to like serve tough enough from the ground to get them in trouble. So you're going to see some more Ivandros on the women's side, I think, just going up and roping and, probably following a little bit like where the men's indoor goes. It's just as the offenses get so good, as the setting gets so good, then you've got to take care of them from the service line even more.
Yeah, we're just really hard to beat. And I think a lot of universities can say like, we have a family-like culture, but like, I would take a bullet for anybody on the team. Like, Steve and I, like, we really, really pour into our kids, and like happiness is like the most important piece. I think it's awesome that, the same couple teams win nationals every year and kids want to go to the same, couple of schools. But like when I talk to kids, I'm like, come here, there's nothing cooler than winning a national championship the first time with somebody. You know what I mean? And I really believe that we can do it. Like, even if we don't get the top recruits every single year, like, it is really, really, really hard to beat a team that plays with like the heart that we do. And anybody that knows FAU and knows like the story is going to believe that and buy into it. And it's just only going to be harder for people to beat us with the underdog mentality. But like, our team is very good at playing in the zone and using everything that is going on in their personal life and just taking it out on the game. And, you know, I preach a lot about, you know, have that confidence in how hard you work, how hard you train. Like, knowing that you are prepared should be what triggers your confidence. And if you know that you're prepared, then you can find peace. And when you play, just having fun. Like, it's time to show off at that point. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you have fun. That's not where you freeze up under pressure. Like, no, don't look at anything but the ball and go out there and have fun. And Steve preaches that, like, you're not your last rep, you are your last 1,000 reps. You know what I mean? You hit a ball 30 feet out, that's not you. Look at the last 1,000 swings that you hit. You know what I mean? That's who you are. That's how we train. And, you know, that's our belief system. And the kids that buy into it do really well here.
What is there anything from your philosophy degree or your Chinese study degree that you see integrated into your coaching, or something that you imply to a team right now?
So I kind of bounced around a few majors. I finally landed on philosophy after taking some Chinese philosophy classes on Confucianism and Taoism, and then I was also a political science major at the time, so I was taking some political philosophy classes. And yeah, to be honest, I ended up doing philosophy because I found out you needed a bachelor's to be a D1 coach. And so I said, well, it doesn't really matter what it says on the piece of paper as long as I have a piece of paper. So I took the classes that were interesting to me, and I wrote my final paper for the bachelor's degree on applications in coaching. And it's a little foggy back then, but I think how I approach it now is, you know, there's a whole lot of gray area with a lot of the decisions we make with, I don't know, how we're going to run an offense, how we're going to approach an issue off the court, how we're going to, you know, handle a recruit situation and their families, anything like that. There's no right or wrong answer. And learning to look at things from one angle and the other angle and everything in between, and kind of picking out the details that make sense, talking through it, and you know, comprehending why somebody would think a certain way and not putting them down for that.
And that's kind of when things took off. I played for Manatee High School for 2 years, and then Venice High for my senior year. And I remember one practice, it was like during club, it was actually my freshman year, that we were doing some kind of hitting drill and something just clicked. And I figured out how to do an approach and hit the ball. And I feel like that was a turning point in my volleyball career. And I figured out how to hit, and it was great.
This is a true Michael Jordan story right now.
I can only imagine how much you would also wish, like, thinking back, how did I figure that out? And now can I impart that information on all of you, right? Like,
if I'm being honest, I actually remember what I was thinking about when that happened. And I liked this boy, and he was dating someone that I knew. And so I feel like I was pretending it was her face that I was hitting. I was just so angry. Something happened that day, and I was so angry, and I was like, I am just going to crush this ball.
And boom, there it is.
There goes my volleyball career.
I would love to hear your perspective on when one of your players comes up to you and says, hey, RJ, I'm thinking about getting into coaching after I'm done playing. And what your thoughts are, and how you guide them through, hey, this isn't always going to be super fun. Sometimes you're going to be in the suck. Like, how do you prepare them for that, but then still get them into it?
man, you're getting me emotional thinking about it. And it's because of you, Colin. It was this isn't recording a video because I'm definitely tearing up right now. I forgot where you were recruiting for indoor, but you managed to get a picture with Katie Zimmerman, a Wichita State indoor volleyball alum who I was able to convince to come to South Carolina and play beach volleyball and help us make our first NCAA tournament appearance. And then also Frankie Harrison, who was also part of those NCAA tournament. Katie Zimmerman is now coaching at Wichita State, made full circle, where she gets to coach at her alma mater, which is like a movie, I think, for coaches. And then Frankie Harrison, she actually played her 5th year at Duke for indoor volleyball. And then the assistant coach at Duke got the head coaching job at Columbia in New York. And I remember Frankie calling and like, hey, I might be an indoor coach. Like, what do you think? I'm like, Frankie, go for it. Just go for it. So, when I got that picture, Colin, I think I was like, this makes my heart so happy. It's probably what I said. And it really did. And gosh, I don't know why that picture just makes me so happy. Even it gets me emotional right now. But, something I always tell coaches and kind of my advice when they want to get into it, I'm like, just really invest in your athletes. You don't necessarily need to know the X's and O's the best. You don't necessarily need to be the world's best recruiter. But if you can get your athletes to tell stories about you and like other people hear about you through your alumni, or you see them have success in their coaching paths, and then they're kind of, when we congratulate them and they're like, oh my God, it's so, just hearing how excited they are. Like, I guess that's a lot of fuel that can keep you alive in coaching, because it can be hard. Like there are times it's hard when athletes are upset because maybe they're not playing or they're not starting or they're not traveling. But it's kind of cool when you hear about their experiences and how they always were like, I felt loved, I felt safe. Yeah, the playing, like I wish I could have done more, but there was so much more I got out of it. As a coach, you live for those moments. Like it's something that you can't put money on those feelings. And that's something I guess I always tell young coaches is once you experience that, like nothing else matters, like you could lose a game at that moment. Yeah, it stinks. But when you start seeing the time go by and the time for you coaching for certain athletes goes away, that's when you kind of like really start embracing the players you have even more and even more. So
I'd like to be surrounded by some of just the best, volleyball people and minds. And how did you kind of foster that culture of like, hey, come to Florida State, come be a part of this? What's your recruiting pitch for coaching? Let me go there.
I mean, I don't know, because I just like, I feel like I've had really great coaches and great friends that I trust. Like Hector, actually, we didn't know each other. And my good friend and coach of 6 years, Scott Davenport, introduced us. And, I was kind of asking him like, hey, do you have anybody? And Hector was trying to get in college coaching, and he was coaching some World Tour teams, but like traveling a lot, and, didn't want to necessarily do that. And we met on an interview and we immediately clicked, and he's done an amazing job at TCU. Like it was really sad when he left. I was like, we're going to be assistants and working together for like 10 years. It's going to be awesome. And his wife, I knew from college, or I was coaching when she was in college. I'm older than her, but it was just like a great fit. But I knew he wanted to be a head coach. And so when he left, that was hard. But I learned with coaching that I just wanted to be around the best people. And it's a good opportunity here to get into college coaching. And that, yeah, if we don't have quality coaches, I think we recruit players that'll just be like, nope, sorry, because they're so experienced and they've played so much that they know a lot. And so if you don't have somebody that like can back it up, then I think it's hard to recruit those players. So that's been my goal, is to have the best coaches. And actually now we just hired Travis Merwarder, and he's going to be awesome. I can't wait for him to get to know all the players on our team and alumni and all those things. And his wife Delaney, we're just so lucky. I don't really know what the pitch is, other than I'm going to work really hard. You come here, work really hard. We're around really good kids that it's like awesome to be around every day, and they make it worthwhile. And if you have a family, they get to go around these student athletes that like are with it. Like they want to be doctors, they want to be lawyers, and then they're playing a full-time sport and going to school. Like no better place or mentors for your children. So I don't know if that's my pitch, but it definitely, we've been really lucky. And Angela coached with me at Santa Barbara. Angela will do anything for me, and I will do anything for Angela. She is amazing, and Todd's really lucky to have her. But she needs to be in the sport of beach volleyball. She is so smart. You should have her on this podcast. She's amazing.
About that, right? You've had the opportunity bringing Cal Poly to such great levels of success. Had the opportunity to go and probably take different jobs, some jobs that people would consider really, right, gold standard, top tier, best thing in the country available. What's kept you at Poly? What's kept you wanting to build that program at SLO?
The first thing when I first got the job was family. My daughter and my son were still in high school. I think Hannah was going into her senior year. My son was in his freshman year. So for me, it was a real easy one to be like, okay, the next 4 years I ain't going anywhere. Melissa, my wife, and I really love where we live. So for the first 4 years, it was piece of cake. I didn't really have a desire to go anywhere. I wanted to see what I could do there. San Luis Obispo has been voted, I don't know how many times, the happiest city in the country, kind of a thing. So it's a beautiful place to live. I do like to surf. Like outdoor stuff. So a lot of that stuff is kind of a no-brainer, being there. And I truly believe, and I still believe, that we can build a national championship program. Is it going to be more difficult than, say, taking a job at USC or Texas or, some Power 5 conference? Yep, it totally is, because there's just money flowing out of those programs. And now with NIL, it's flowing out of there even more. The transfer portal and the way that can just stack up talent. But I feel like, there's a quality of life that maybe you leave behind. From a personal perspective, as a player, I reached the pinnacle, and I'd love to do so as a coach. But I don't know. To me, taking over a program that's already super high end, okay, that's cool. And yes, I always look at those and see, okay, what's better for me. And now it's just, Melissa, my wife, and I basically, my son is in his last year of college. Hannah's graduated. So, I would still absolutely look at it, but the reality is we're pretty happy, and I like my quality of life, and I will not sacrifice. And actually, even as a player, I never sacrificed my quality of life or my family's quality of life to win a tournament or win an NCAA championship. I won't do that. I want a lot of buckets full. I don't want one bucket and put it all in there, and then now you don't win and it feels like you have emptiness. So I'd rather have a lot of full buckets, and hopefully I can fill that bucket at Cal Poly.
I think finding out that beach volleyball was going to be a college sport really put all the puzzle pieces of my life together. So I'd had this business degree, worked in the business world a bit, and I think ultimately college sports are very business-like. And then I had all of the experience of working my way up on the pro tour, really starting without knowing how to play the game at all, and learning from some incredible coaches, some incredible players. And I journaled all the time. So after every practice, I'd write down everything that I learned. And those notes kind of became the spine of our Georgia State program. And so it was really incredible how it all ended up working out. And I ended up in this heart happy career that wasn't even something that was probable when I was in college.
Give TCU an identity, and what is TCU beach volleyball's playing identity?
I think like when we started working together, it was kind of like figuring out each, what we, our vision,
Mhm.
It was not that it was different. It was just like probably with different focuses, right? So year after year, we've just been like molding each other to be a really good team, I think. And with Daniel as well, like it's incredible. Like the three of us have been together for 5 years. So that's pretty cool, So I think like Hector is super competitive, and funny and very creative. Me on the other side, I'm like more like of structuring practice and stuff like that, and bringing kind of also the heartwarming like support for the girls in the sense of like both sides, like holding them accountable, but at the same time, like supporting them as humans, as girls, as student athletes, as, so many things. And I think like that kind of like allows Hector to do his job best, on the sense of like leading the program, recruiting. Like we both do recruiting, but at the same time, like he does more of the international recruiting. I do more of the local. But at the like, I don't know. It's just I think it's pretty cool how we work together, even if we're pretty different. And sometimes like you can come to our offices and you're just gonna like a lot of heated conversations in Spanish in there. It is pretty cool. At least we can be ourselves in our own native language. But yeah, I think like we're always trying to find ways to get better and to make sure that we're supporting the girls the best way we can. And for us, team culture is extremely important, and that the girls feel important regardless what's their role, and they understand their role, and they are doing something that's important for them, that they can grow and they can contribute. Okay, so every single player, it's important for them to contribute in some way, right?
How did you get through the moments of doubt, right? Because there are tons of them, especially we're young, we're trying to figure it's the first job. For me, it was my first paid job.
Yeah.
It's your first coaching gig. How did you kind of push through it? How did you get to the immense self-confident badass that you are? Sorry, Michael, you have to edit that later. I couldn't think of any other words.
No, it's great. It's great. You should keep it, Michael. I think probably up until this past year, and I still fight it, but like I've had severe imposter syndrome. And fighting through the doubts, like the only thing I can say is my faith and having a community around me, my friends, heck, my boss, and my boss's family, being willing to stick with me when I didn't believe in myself and was so hard on myself because I was just at every point in turn thought I was letting the team down and thought I needed to have more knowledge or more age on me or less emotions that I was like wrestling with the responsibilities of being an assistant coach for the program I get to be a part of. But I think just knowing truth, like reading scripture, praying, having people pray for me, being honest with my thoughts and not trying to hold it in, and not trying to act like somebody I wasn't. I think in like year 3, year 4, and then over time you see like Russell believes in you, your family loves you, you have friends that are for you, your players are listening to you. Like it over time, there's just enough evidence when you look back to like have no reason to doubt. But whenever I was sitting in it, like really just believing that I was more than what I was doing and having to like really come to terms with what I believed was really what helped. And then that belief being supported. And so when I was in my like weakest points or my doubts and felt like the team deserved more, I would have a friend be like, stop believing lies.
Coached by like your traditional sense is, oh, this is my club coach and I get taught by this one person or maybe these 5 people. Like I feel like I've been taught by 20, 30 people that have coached me and brought details. And as soon as I think I have something, a new idea comes from them is like, this could be better if you did this. This could be better if you just tried this. And then it's melding those things and learning, like, because that's been my learning path. That's what I try and give to my players is like, all right, here's some details. This is a scenario where this detail will work if you use it. And try it now, see what happens. And then you're going to always play with it. As an athlete, you're going to always play with it a little bit, see if it works. Sometimes it won't. And then you'll come back to it and all of a sudden it works. It's like, where did that come from? I was like, oh, it just started to click a little bit. It was good. And that kind of learning for me as a player is what brought that on to the coaching side, was like understanding that that's how learning happens is you pay attention to the details, you pay attention to the little things and you work on them, but there's going to be frustration in that. There's going to be hardship through that, but then it clicks, and the click is the greatest part. That's where the bug is.
Thanks again for listening to our top 10 according to Spotify episodes. We hope you enjoyed this and hope you can go back and listen to some of these and kind of hear some of the thoughts and stories behind our community and coaching. Super grateful for all that are listening still, and we look forward to continuing these for the years to come and look forward to producing another one for next week. We'll see you then.